What's up, Marvelites, and welcome to a brand new episode of the MCUExchange podcast. I'm back. Welcome back, guys. Woohoo!
Woo!
This is episode 51. I'm your host for this episode, as always. It's me, Aaron, and I'm joined by alongside Charles.
What's up?
Hey, and Joe.
Hello.
Hey, guys, what's up? Okay, it's been a crazy MCU week, quiet MCU week, but a crazy Falcon and Winter Soldier episode I'm going to talk about later. Let's get right to it. Let's go to the news rundown. Here we go. First up, oh no, another delay. What's new? Yay. From Marvel Studios. Because Marvel Studios officially announced that Black Widow was supposed to premiere last year, but supposed to premiere this year as well, has been delayed to July 9th, 2021, and it will be officially be released on Disney Plus Premier Access as well in theaters. So it's a hybrid release. And this was first reported by Variety, but it's been confirmed by Marvel Studios in a post alongside a new poster for the film, which shows Scarlett Johansson in her white Black Widow suit. Damn. Then, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings has also been delayed from its July slot to September 3rd. According to Variety, it's expected to have a traditional theatrical release. Okay, hopefully. This is going to be the last delays of the Phase 4, hopefully.
Wait, knocking on wood.
Yeah, knocking on wood. Charles, your reactions about this?
I'm just kind of sick of hearing Black Widow not coming out. Knowing it, like hearing first that it was going on Disney Plus, obviously a thumbs up. That means that means nobody has to die to fucking watch Black Widow. People get to see the comfort of their homes, and it just seems like a very, very obvious business decision, and I don't know why they waited last minute to do it. As for it being delayed, I know Joe mentioned that they probably just don't have enough time to market it. That's why they're moving it to July. But at the same time, why did you make the fucking announcement a month before May? You could have announced it in February or January. It's a decision that could have been made way earlier. So that getting delayed and seeing Shang-Chi get delayed just kind of makes me roll my eyes, because between Black Widow and Shang-Chi, I mean, I'd rather fucking check out Shang-Chi. So it is kind of annoying, but I mean, like you said, I hope it's the fucking final delay, and it's probably gonna be the likely final delay too, because I don't see them, fucking moving this to October of this year. So at least we have that to look forward to on July, presumably while the Loki show is on the air.
I agree. And I really hope that it's the final delay. Joe, how about you? What are your thoughts about this?
I think that I agree with Charles. They should have just made this decision earlier, but it's not an easy decision to make. I can kind of understand that. Do you risk it? Do you not risk it? Disney Plus Premier Access has not been like, according to the little info we have, it's not like the best-selling model, which, understandable. You're paying an extra price in addition to a subscription fee, but at the same time, it's for family. It's a strange situation, and I'm not quite sure if it's the smartest decision to have stick only to Disney Plus. I'm guessing they're going to release it on other services shortly after as well, to have Amazon and stuff like that rentals. I think it's mainly a marketing decision. They're doing what HBO Max is doing, is like this 2 to 3 month marketing window to get everything ready and kind of say, hey, remember that movie that got delayed about over a year ago? Here it is. I'm just amazed we still haven't gotten a new trailer yet. Whereas you have to start now, guys, if you're going to postpone it. We're in April. The only thing I'm happy is they didn't postpone Eternals. That was my other worry, because if they postponed Eternals, that would shift everything back again. But they're like, no, we're getting these 3 movies out this year. It's not going to be. I think they're cutting their losses in some regard as well. Godzilla vs. Kong has kind of proven there is hope for the cinemas, that there is a little light in the tunnel. So I think it's safe to say that Shang-Chi will focus mainly on a theatrical release. I just hope we get a trailer soon, because I'm tired of not knowing how amazing this will look.
Yeah, and so far the promotion for Shang-Chi is based on leaks. So there's
Eternals too. We know more about these movies from toys than anything else.
I agree.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a merchandise, promotional art, concept art, and that's the only one that surfaced about Shang-Chi and Eternals, and hopefully we'll get interesting thing, guys. Yesterday, Marvel Studios posted a Twitter post where they're asking fans to ask questions to the cast of Shang-Chi, and then after 5 minutes got deleted.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, we
Wow.
covered that. So maybe
Oh,
there's we thought that it was a scheduled post because because it's July
It
for the
happens. Yeah.
release. Yeah,
right.
might be a possible hint that everything is scheduled in Marvel Studios, and then
Interesting. Oh yeah.
As someone who worked in social advertising a little bit, yeah, that most of those posts are pre-worked, but it's odd that they either left it in there and forgot to change the date, which can happen fast.
yeah,
Yeah,
It even
probably.
happened.
Probably it was probably they just forgot because when was Shang-Chi supposed to be? July, right?
Yeah,
yeah, July.
And so we're probably like 3 months from it. It kind of makes sense that there would be at least some movement now, marketing wise and press junket wise. There should be definitely some movement now if the movie was still slated to appear in July.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and on
something
top of that,
similar. Sorry.
yeah, go.
It's funny because something similar happened to another Marvel property with the Avengers game, where a content drop where the scheduled post was released on Facebook in Germany and not everything else. So it's like it happens sadly when it's just you can't coordinate everything with the delays. It just makes it tough. It's just
Yeah,
interesting, how ready they would have been, and it just makes me sadder that everything is still getting delayed.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and on
Yeah.
top of that, guys, the Disney marketing head Asad Ayaz mentioned a few months back that the promotion for Black Widow will be entirely different from what they did in the past year, and they will release trailers with new footage again before the release date on July. We've seen
Yeah,
so much. I'm
I'm not
worried.
watching. I'm not watching any of those trailers.
Me too.
Yeah,
Guess we'll
Yes.
find out. Maybe they'll start next month, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and probably next month because July is coming.
Lisa.
Yeah. Hopefully, no more delays. Let's now move on to casting now for another MCU film. Yep, it's a surprising one when this popped up. It's for Thor: Love and Thunder because Deadline shared in a report that Russell Crowe, oh, has joined the cast of Chris Hemsworth's Thor: Love and Thunder in an unknown role. The outlet revealed that the hope was to surprise fans with Crowe's cameo during the film's release. However, Deadline confirmed the actor's involvement following recent photos of Crowe hanging out with the cast in Sydney, Australia. On a separate report, the Hollywood Reporter shared that Crowe will only have a small role, quote and unquote, in the film. Speculations, guys. Who do you think Russell Crowe will play? Joe, you're up.
Ooh, yeah, I think the photos we saw, he had like a really good beard game going on.
Yeah.
So I like the idea, especially with, we know that the God Butcher's involved, that they're gonna take this and maybe introduce the Greek pantheon. So he would be a pretty badass Zeus, especially with that beard. That would be pretty cool because I think, Hercules is a character that's very iconic and would be great to introduce. It potentially would tie it in a little bit with Eternals, which, we still also don't know anything about.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot they can do with that. If they want to go a jokey route, I've read people say, what if it's what was it that he's playing another actor takes over the role of Odin in the stage play, so they just kick out Sam Elliott and he replaces him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he could play the Brotor version of the character from Endgame in the play. I don't
Oh, a recreation. Oh, who's gonna be Thanos then?
That. Well, maybe fucking Russell Crowe is Thanos.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
He has
Yeah.
the beard as Thanos. He just refuses to have it shaved off.
I guess that's the beauty with Taika directing and all these actors just dropping by to film something. It just kind of seems like the best set to hang out with.
Mm,
Like, I feel like if you're Taika's friend, you're remotely in the same place they're shooting, you're gonna get a role. Be it how dumb or be it how fucking silly it is, it just seems like a blast to hang around that set, which I probably think Russell Crowe was just there just because he wants to hang out with his friends. not because he's excited to play a role, but as far as him playing a role, like I forgot who said it, but someone theorized that what if he's playing the old version of Thor, who because
Yeah.
in the comics
Oh.
when they fight Gore in the comics, Thor is aided by his younger self and his older self. So I saw
Wow.
someone say that. Oh, what if it's King Thor, 1,000 years into the future, and that idea was like holy shit. And I also love the idea that he could be playing a Greek god because we know Gore hunts gods. It makes sense for at least one of the Greek gods to be visited by Gore, and if fucking Russell Crowe is playing Zeus or maybe even Hercules, that would seem like a very very cool casting idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hercules. It's been rumored back then.
Yeah.
Interesting. Whatever the case, guys, the cast of Thor: Love and Thunder is insanely loaded, and it's safe to
Jesus,
say
yeah.
shaping up to be an exciting adventure for Thor and his allies. Thor: Love and Thunder will premiere on May 6, 2022, hopefully in theaters next year.
Knock on wood.
Yes, and it's one of the hot anticipated Phase 4 entries because of the stacked cast, the return of Chris Hemsworth's Thor, and the debut of Mighty Thor, Jane Foster's Mighty Thor.
Mhm.
Let's
Mhm.
now move on. Let's now move on to the exchange where we talk about the latest action-packed, jam-packed episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, third, entitled "The Power Broker." The Power Broker is not there, only mentioned. Weird. Let's go down here. So it's insanely good episode. It picked up the pace. It's action-packed, and even has a Filipino song. Yay!
Yeah, that was pretty
That was
cool. Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Pretty cool for us here. It's actually banned here in the Philippines, so there's that. And we're halfway through the story and the narrative of Falcon the Winter Soldier. There's episode 3 more episodes to go, and it pick up the pace in terms of the narrative. And just want to know your initial thoughts about this, guys. Charles, you first.
I thought it was a pretty solid episode. There are a lot of choices here that I don't think it's bad, but there are choices here that I still have a hard time wrapping my head around. It was great to see Zemo here. Uh, Mainly, but I guess a lot of my problems, not problems, a lot of my mixed thoughts are with Zemo and how he's like a completely new character,
Yeah.
completely almost divorced from the one we saw in Civil War. And I think one of the best parts of Civil War is absolutely Zemo. And some parts of this show somewhat, for lack of a better word, undermine it. It
Mhm.
makes for me it makes sort of Zemo a completely new character that's not at all similar to the one in Civil War. So I'm kind of sad about that. But it's also hard to deny how fun of a character Zemo is now.
Mm.
It just he just seems like a very very, I guess, very quotable character. Like I feel like all the memes this episode are just him,
Yeah.
and it's one thing that you don't expect from Zemo. When you watch Civil War, you like Zemo might be the last character you see there that's probably the most memeable, but now he's like everyone just fucking loves him, and I think that's great for the character. But overall, it's a good um, direction forward or on where they wanna bring this because we got to explore Madripoor, we got to see Sharon. Sharon had very intense action sequences, and overall, I think this might be my second favorite episode so far.
Yeah. What's your first again?
Man, uh, I guess the second episode.
Second episode. Okay.
Yes, because
And it.
the first one has Joaquin Torres, and I hate that. And episode 2 and 3 doesn't have Joaquin Torres.
Okay. I think I
I
think it will
love that.
return. It will return in the next one. So
I hope not.
yeah, and this episode I agree. Zemo became a likable character in this episode because he has like his portrayal from Civil War completely changed here, and you understand more of his motivations. You understand more of his backstory. He's a freaking baron. He's rich. He has a
Yeah,
private jet,
wasn't
guys,
expecting that.
That
and
was
he can dance as well. There's that.
that like side fist bumping.
Yeah. Even for a brief moment, it's become a memeable moment now on Twitter and also on Facebook. Joe, how about you? What are your initial thoughts about the episode?
I think it's a great episode. I think the highlight is really Zemo. Zemo. I mean, I'm a big fan of Daniel Brühl. Fellow German speaker. It's a little
Mm.
unfair. But funny enough, he also is amazing in Rush, where he plays a very famous Austrian race car driver, and he's just really
Oh, yeah?
good at playing those characters. And so it's just he brings energy to it. And I agree with Charles. I agree with you that it's a bit awkward that he's like suddenly this like rich guy. He's a baron. It's just like, oh, I had this all along. In a way,
Yeah.
it's a bit out of play. It comes out of nowhere. I would have loved if it just was like he became one while he was in prison. That would have
Yes.
been hilarious and so fitting
Yeah.
for his character. Because the whole like the we talked about this before, but the prison escape sequence is odd in the way that all it needed was someone to start a fight and he
Oh
could get out
man.
easily.
Oh man. Yep.
And I kind of like see the way I see it is that it feels like he knows he could have gotten out at any time. He was just like wait, like the last time we saw Zemo, he was suicidal. He was going to end his own life because of what happened
Yeah.
to his family. So he had no real reason to escape anymore. He was there stewing in it and just kind of waiting because he always says he's a man with time and resources. Which ironically, that line now with him being a baron kind of makes more sense.
Mm.
A lot of resources though.
Yeah, well, a lot of them. And I just like the thing is I like to look at it in a way that he didn't want to escape. But now that, he was asked for help, that just kind of became a new reason to move. He did his thing. He did what he wanted to do. But now that this new problem has arisen, he's like, maybe I have a reason to get out again. And that's why he just so easily got out. It could have been a little bit more elaborate. I will say that it's like it seemed a little too easy, but it is Zemo at the same time. He probably planned everything out perfectly in advance. But I just love Zemo. Brühl, great performance. I love the discussion about the song. Just Sam's look on his face. It
Yeah.
was
Oh,
so
Trouble
good.
Man. Yeah, Marvin Gaye.
Prob-
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. A lot of great Easter eggs. Madripoor, love it visually. I really hope they revisit that location more frequently in the future, because it's a shame to introduce this. Since Sokovia, probably only the second fictional country in the MCU that's been introduced so far. And yeah, just great episode. I love the surprise at the end. I didn't see that coming, at
Same.
least not in the way it was done.
Later.
And it's getting really interesting. The only problem I have, and this is a general issue with I think Marvel Studios' approach, where this feels like they're going for a 6-hour movie, and this is like it's kind of odd to have this episode is the start of the second act,
Yes.
and it doesn't really end as a show or as an episode, so it ends like setting up the second half of the second act. So the flow isn't as strong as, like, for example, WandaVision, where each episode was like its self-contained story with an overarching arc. That's kind of missing a bit. But at the same time, it's a different beast of a show, so I appreciate that it doesn't feel exactly the same either.
Yeah. Totally agree. And when you see the Falcon, it's very different, the Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision because of their approach and their presentation of the narrative. But the main formula of the MCU is still there. The action
Yeah.
pack, the humor, action scenes, yeah. And Madripoor makes its entrance in the MCU. There's so many Wolverine related Easter eggs there. Princess Bar,
Yeah.
there's
Mm.
that, so many. And just want to ask you guys, Henry Jackman's music is so amazing,
Oh
There's-
yes.
Oh,
yeah, it's the theme of is from Civil War,
Yep.
and
The opening. Yeah.
there's that as well. And he excels in that. Like he manages to bring previous themes because in the second episode, if I'm not mistaken, Cap's Promise was featured right in the action
Yep.
scene.
Yes.
The end credits theme of Civil War,
Mhm.
and then it's going to be interesting what other themes will be show up in the in the in the next set of episodes.
did you
Let's
go-
notice? Sorry, before we skip to the next, did you notice that the Zemo's theme and Winter Soldier's theme were combined when they were the bar fight?
Yeah.
Yes,
That
I
was
did notice that.
such a cool addition.
It's so cool. I mean, I just want to add about the prison break scene. Again, it could have been elaborated, but the idea that I feel like if Zemo was out there in the world, he would have been able to do his job. Like the stuff he wanted to do, stop
Yeah.
fucking superheroes going crazy. It kind of seems like just you sort of choosing to stay in prison kind of defeats this goal that you've set up for yourself. You've sort of you sort of made yourself the guy who stops superheroes from fucking doing crazy shit. You think
Yeah.
that prison isn't supposed to stop him, and knowing that he's rich as fuck, makes his tenure at prison just kind of like, what? You could have done so much more if you were out there.
Mm,
Like
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah, you know your family's gone and you're just sort of waiting for a new purpose, but there's so much purpose for you waiting out there, considering the resources you have. It just it's just like I don't know why they decided to do that. I honestly thought that they do something where Zemo got out during the snap, and like Joe said, he just became a fucking baron during the
mm.
5 years to the point where he was almost untouchable by law. I felt like I feel like that would be sort of that's the direction I would have gone with, as opposed to just he's in prison and we need someone to send a message to the two guys playing chess there so we could break out. It just seems like a very it's not very comic booky. It's like a very very shitty breakout prison break scene where like I feel like the Punisher breakout scene in Daredevil season 2 was like way better and way more
Yeah.
just way more grand than what they had for Zemo. And I don't know, I feel like they could have done a lot of more interesting stuff as far as what Zemo was up to all this time in the 5 years that people disappeared.
I would
Yeah.
even add this, like, he doesn't even have to be outside of prison. It's just kind of like we've seen it with Wilson Fisk, where he was just running ship from within prison. He just decided to stay there
Exactly.
to keep his
Yeah.
wife safe. And Zemo, yeah, like the thing is with Zemo, it's confusing because he has no more motivation since the last time we saw him. His whole motivation was tear apart the Avengers that killed my family, and he did that. Now they're technically back together, then they were separated again, and now it seems like his hatred is towards super soldiers. So
Yeah.
it's I the thing is, like, the perfect summary of Zemo right now is great fun character. They're teasing things, but they're not elaborating on them effectively enough. Like, he has the purple mask. He puts on the purple mask, but we don't know why he puts on the purple mask.
Yeah.
So I think there's
Like
more
we like
to
we
it. It's just coming.
like we don't know the significance of that purple mask being in the car of
Yeah.
his I guess his dad. So I guess maybe his dad was like someone like him, but then again, I mean, Zemo says that after Ultron happened, Sokovia just basically got annexed
Yeah.
by every neighboring European country. You'd think that Zemo would have done something about that, at least during the blip, where holy shit, you guys stole my fucking country back. I'm royalty there. Like I'm not gonna allow Sokovia to be fucking annexed to Latvia or whatever country's next door. I'm gonna fucking reclaim that country and I'm gonna be a baron of it. I'm gonna rule it. You think that
Mm.
he would do that because he kind of complains about it at the end, where he even asks Sam, "I bet you didn't even visit their memorial." It's kind of like, well, you could have done something about that because you could
Mhm.
have broken out of prison anytime. You had so much cars, so much money to sort of you could have saved Sokovia yourself,
Mm.
but you just sort of decided to stay in prison. It just makes him he's a fun character, but it also makes him very I don't know what's the right word, but very he's not as cunning as he was in Civil War.
What I hope is that if it turns out that he was the one who created the memorial, that I think would it be a fitting reveal?
Yeah,
Because
like he
why
did
did
for
he? Because he knows about a memorial even though he was in prison. So either he learned about it somehow, or, like, I can imagine he was the one who funded it, which would be
yeah,
a great touch.
I could see that. Yeah.
Just one thing. the episode didn't address if Zemo was blip, right?
No.
That was I kind of wish they did address it.
Yeah.
I think I think I think also for Sharon they did not fully explicitly say what happened to her. Did they?
No. They
No,
don't
no.
even hint at it, which is odd because according to Endgame, she was blipped.
Yeah, she
So,
was.
but it doesn't make sense with how much, how much power she has
Oh,
now.
what? Did they say that in Endgame?
Her
Uh,
picture's in that frame.
Oh, I missed that.
yeah, picture was in the opening scene. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
opening moments.
Well, I guess in that case, yeah, it makes sort of the world building here a bit clumsier. It's not as tight as we'd want it to be because yeah, you'd feel like you getting blip, Zemo getting blip, Sharon getting blip. I feel like that's a big talking point, and they just ignored it. And considering this is a show about the aftermath of the blip, it feels inconsistent to sort of just ignore that.
Yeah.
You know what I think it is? I think what it is it's showing Marvel Studios inexperience with long form storytelling because they're approaching it because in a film you can explain stuff later. You can kind of
Right.
just throw that in, but it's that's within a 2 hour time frame. That doesn't matter. Now we're stewing on it for 2 weeks, thinking about for a week, thinking about if it's not addressed until the last episode, it's 3 or 4 weeks or whatever.
Right.
And so that's kind of the problem because I think there's something there they're just not talking about because it would take away from whatever they're building towards. But the problem is, we're just waiting for it. So it just makes it feel a bit more contrived than it might end up being, similar to how WandaVision's first episodes completely change when you watch episode 8.
Do you like the pacing of these episodes? Because I like it. The first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I think it's paced really well. Because I feel like the action sequences are so well done.
Yeah.
It's kind of like even though you can kind of get like one action sequence the entire episode, it's pretty fucking good. Like I guess the highway sequence from last episode, we didn't get to talk about it, and obviously Sharon like doing John Wick shit in the shipyard looks so cool. I That definitely sort of uh makes up for I guess some people find some stuff here boring, which it doesn't make sense to me, but having great action just sort of offsets that.
Yeah.
Yes. Totally agree. And the dynamic of Sam, Bucky, and Zemo is a visual treat. It's fun to watch, right? In this episode. And yeah, go.
I can't believe they reference Snap Wilson in this.
The the pimp alter
Yeah,
ego of,
his pimp
Uh,
origin,
uh,
which was like completely taken out.
yeah, the way this show sort of addresses stuff like that is pretty great. It's not literal, just a throwaway line, just sort of shows how I guess how fucked up some of these character roots are, and the fact that they fucking made a black man a pimp because they made Sam Wilson. They wrote him I think in the '60s.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I like how they're rising above it at the same time, sort of acknowledging, oh yeah, that's a thing in the past, but we're not gonna do that. We're gonna treat him with dignity, and the fact that I like that Sam was like, why am I dressed like a pimp? And then he sees the picture, he's like, damn, this guy looks exactly like me. I, I, I,
exactly.
I Moments like that are so good, and obviously Sam being forced to drink that snake shot, that was pretty hilarious.
I love Baron Zemo's like oddly culturally adept way of talking about these things. Where it's just like it inhabits the African American culture, and Sam's face is just like he's not wrong. He's not wrong. And then later with the whole, I love the line where he says, "Whereas only an American would look at those clothes and an African American man and call him a pimp," which is also true because nowhere in the world anyone would connect those two things. They just say
Yeah,
it's a very eccentric clothing style, but in the States, that's the connection people make. It's they really play on the fact that he is not American; he is European.
Yeah. And there's so many great references. Every Marvel show has Easter eggs, stuff like that. But I have one question, guys. Um, Zemo is currently on the side of the good guys. Currently, that's a key term.
Yes.
Do you think that this will last in the next few episodes, Joe?
That's a mean question. I don't know. I it's it's going to be really interesting. That's all I can really think of. I think the developments are the laying groundwork that'll build towards this kind of stuff, but I'm not sure.
And of course the villains. We'll talk about the villains here because we have the Flag Smashers and the new Captain America, who's just slowly turning to be a villain
Oh yeah,
in
it's
the
an
eyes of
asshole.
Yeah.
the eyes of MCU fans and in the eyes of those there in the world of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And then there's Zemo. And then there's the Power Broker. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
villains. Just like in one division, there's Tyler Hayward, there's Agnes, there's Mephisto, but that's not. There's nothing that. And do you think that this will be a trend in Disney Plus shows that there will be like a long list of villains? Charles or Joe?
I think
Yeah.
yes, because you gotta sort of fill in, I guess, the gaps of just you can't just have one villain the entire time. There has to be
Yeah.
some sort of buffer for not like you can't always fight the big bad in every episode. There has to be some buffers there, some henchmen and whatnot. So we're definitely gonna see more of that. I like speaking of villains. I like how everyone's just sort of turning bad. Um,
Yeah.
you got the Flag Smashers, I guess, righteously stealing the donations that were just sitting there, instead of the GRC distributing that to people who need it. It's just fucking there. It's been there for 6 months. I like them stealing that, but also Carly just straight up murdering them and justifying it as something like this is the only way to understand. It kind of shows this dark side that she's slowly going towards. And also John Walker, who is, he's slowly losing it.
Yeah.
His composure is so fucking skinny and weak that one guy who just doesn't give a fuck, he's Captain America, he's already losing it, and I love that.
The thing is what I really also like is that the approach of the show is, or with WandaVision, well, there's no definite like big bad from the get go. It's a slowly evolving, explorative story. Like we don't know, is the Power Broker the big bad? We know kind of the Flag Smashers are implied, but are they really the big bad at the end of the day? Is it John Walker? We don't know, and that's kind of I think the where they're really strong is these characterizations and continuing their stories. And I was watching a video where they made a great point is that alone John Walker's scene, even though he's not in this much, left a huge impact because unlike Steve, who kind of said he doesn't want to live up to the symbol as per se, he just kind of wanted to make sure that the symbol meant something, while John Walker wants people to understand what it means that he has the symbol. And it's this beautiful contrast between the two because it turns from a symbol of freedom to a symbol of oppression. And they're really subtle about it. Like I like that it's not in your face. We've seen shows that'll just shove it in your face over and over again. It does with other things. It's a little bit more obvious in some ways, but the main topics are really hinted at, and that's with those small moments, like with last week's episode with Isaiah Bradley and everything happening around that sequence.
I guess there's going to be a definite villain, and at the end, and also just to add, the government's also the villain.
Oh yeah.
Always,
yeah.
So do you think that guy who took the shield and gave it to he's gonna get his ass beat? I just thought
so.
Sam to fly in and kick his ass.
That old white guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just gonna say earlier that the Power Brokers is so fucking. I feel like the show is doing a poor job of sort of making Sharon not suspicious. Like the show is kind of communicating that who is the Power Broker? Oh, Sharon's up to no good. Who's that? Who picks her up at the end? It's kind of like, is Sharon the Power Broker? Just fucking say it. It's kind of like.
It's a popular theory, yeah.
Because it's so weird because I watched the episode again this afternoon and I was like looking closely at how Sharon just sort of operated, and the fact that she just knows where the scientist is, and the fact that she's just like everything is just too
convenient.
It's too it just it can't be a coincidence. The fact that
mean,
she's still there, the fact that she chooses to remain there despite everything.
both
She's
former
up.
CIA.
Yeah, former CIA, and wasn't the scientist a CIA agent also?
Yeah.
So they're
Yes.
both CIA. They're both in Madripoor. They're both sort of benefiting from this criminal enterprise. It's like Sharon is the power broker from what the show is trying to communicate.
Yes. And her reaction after Zemo shot the scientist. So
Oh yeah,
suspicious.
she looked very disappointed.
Yeah.
Like there goes my money.
Hi, vey. But like the
Yeah.
big question is, if she is at the end of the day the power broker, what's her motivation? That's like the big question for me. Is like
Yeah.
it's not like she's an evil person or she was implied as one. It's just look at first they're implying, oh, she adapted to this new lifestyle, but what is her end goal? Like, why would she try to create more? Is this like, would this be to spite Steve? Are we getting a reference to frickin' the time where she shot Steve with that time bullet, and she's just being
Hmm.
manipulated? I mean, anything's possible at this point.
Yeah. It's
It's
hard
a class.
because no, Aaron, go ahead.
I just want to say it's classic heel turn.
Mm,
Yeah, it's a classic heel turn also that's very like we're not used to seeing Sharon be this way. And I guess that's the downside of some of the films. Some of the characters just aren't given that much to do. That when they're given this much to do and it's almost a contrast to how we've come to know them, it's kind of like this kind of doesn't make sense, but I hope the show manages to explain some of it because again, I tweeted about this how why Bucky is sort of pardoned despite murdering so many presidents, despite destroying so many countries, despite starting probably a lot of world wars. The fact that he's pardoned and Sharon, who just fucking stole the shield in Civil War, in a very very I guess uneventful moment, she's a fucking fugitive. It makes me wonder why is she such a wanted fugitive? It can't be just that. Someone said to me, well, maybe you know, in all the times we haven't seen her, maybe she fucking just did some shady shit in the underworld, and
no.
I guess
Yeah.
that would justify it. But you guys said that she wasn't around during the 5 years, so I'm kind of like, well, what did she do?
Yeah, and there's a feeling there that she doesn't want to be pardoned or something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yes,
sequence was interesting. But at the same time, I like that they approached it by they're like, the guy who killed and toppled governments gets a pardon. You're still in the shithole because you stole a shield. So
yeah.
it's kind of interesting that they did approach it. I do think that them forgetting about her is probably a big aspect of what's going on in the story that we're not seeing quite yet.
The shady government aspect, Joe.
Yeah. It
It
might be
also
all connected. That's going to be the interesting part.
it
Yeah.
also makes me wonder. Um, fuck, I forgot my train of thought. But speaking of it's all connected. I hope it's not all connected just so Jeff Loeb doesn't show up out of nowhere, out of in a magically and say it's all connected. But yeah,
It's Jeff Loeb's in
What?
the background with his like Iron Fist outfit.
doing
It's
some
all
kung fu shit,
connected.
doing some
Yeah.
kung
No,
fu.
the Medusa wig. That's what he has.
Yeah, no, I remember what I was gonna say. The fact
Sorry.
Okay.
that they're acknowledging it, they're acknowledging Sharon being pissed at Bucky. I think that goes a long way, as
Yeah.
far as them sort of addressing how she feels about the whole thing. But also, it's kind of hard for me now to imagine her going back to her life because she's kind of living the high life there. She's in is it
Hightown.
Hightown? Is that
Yeah.
Hightown? Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yep.
she's in the rich part of town. She seems to have a very very sick, I guess, condominium that she leases for parties. I don't know why she rents that for parties. It doesn't quite make sense for me. But I guess if she makes money from that, that's cool. But also that whole thing where Sam asks her, or rather makes a deal like, okay, help us out, and we're gonna get you pardoned. It kind of seems like she just went along with it, and she kind of doesn't care about getting pardoned at this point
Mm,
because her life is like, why would you want to go back to? your shitty CIA desk job
Yeah.
when you're like a kingpin in Madripoor.
Yeah, literal power
Yeah.
broker.
So I'm curious. I'm curious how they're gonna sort of, I guess, redeem that aspect of her.
Yeah, and if she will show up maybe in the films again, because
Yes.
Madripoor is
Mhm.
it's a pretty significant location, and I hope that it gets featured again in the big on the big screen with her,
Yeah.
with Sharon Carter.
Oh
That's
yeah.
my next question. That was supposed to be my next question. So about Sharon being the power broker, we addressed it already. So move on now to already asked about Zemo, already asked about Sharon Carter. Let's now go to Bucky's line of saying that Sam, let's get the shield back. It's going to be interesting because as we all
Oh
know,
yeah.
it's currently John Walker, and in the trailers, actually in the trailers, we witnessed that both of them they managed to retrieve the shield. The how is the intriguing part of that. So I'm going to ask you guys this: how do you think Sam and Bucky will retrieve the shield, Charles?
This is such a hard question because I mean we saw the Falcon costume leak, the toy leak. He has the shield, and it's kind of clear that he's gonna be Captain America by the end of this. It makes me wonder because there are scenes in the trailer where Sam is training with the shield. I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if the hyped up episode 5 where something huge is gonna happen. I wonder if that's where I guess Walker flips and then he's
Hmm.
forced to give the shield to Sam, and then I guess Walker renounces that mantle, and then Sam, episode 6 opens with Sam training with the shield and them going on, I guess, one last final mission against whoever's the bad guy. I do wonder if that's the case. Though I do like Bucky sort of getting really, really aggressive about getting back the shield because he's fucking pissed that they're in the situation they're in and they don't even have the one thing Steve left with them. And I like that anger of let's get that fucking shield from Walker. He doesn't
Yeah.
deserve it.
Yeah,
I like that.
anger is a driving force, and it's going to be interesting how that particular emotion will evolve in the next episodes of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Joe?
I think it's gonna get dark. It feels like we're going down a dark path.
I mean, we,
Let's
we
talk about
did see. I'm sorry. I was gonna say we did see Walker sort of on his knees in the trailer,
Yeah.
yes.
like defeated. I wonder if that's that big moment where he's like, I don't want to be Cap anymore.
Yeah, it's so much
I'll be U.S.
responsibility.
agent.
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
It's not the same, but it feels better.
Yeah. Let's talk about the ending, guys. Surprise
Okay.
appearance. Yeah,
Yes.
first major guest star that's a surprise because we all know that Rhodes already was confirmed beforehand. So Ayo, one of the Dora Milaje from Wakanda, one Zemo because of course they're Wakandans. They have the Black Panther and stuff like that. They know that Zemo broke out the cell. It's gonna be interesting if other characters will show up as well. So just want to ask your reaction first. Were you shocked? Were you surprised? Joe, you first.
I was surprised. As soon as I saw the pearls, I was like, wait a minute. I know those. I
Yeah.
like who it was. I like that it's I think her name is Ayo, if I'm correct.
Yes, Ayo. Yeah.
I like that it's her because first of all, she has the Civil War connection. She was there at the
Yes.
time. It wouldn't have made sense if it was, Okoye or another one. So I like that they're also using a character who didn't have that many, like that huge of a role. She had like smaller bit roles in Black Panther and Civil War. That she gets a little time, to be in the spotlight. And I wonder if this will also lead into Ryan Coogler's Wakanda series in some way.
Ooh. Like as soon as I saw the Kimoyo beat, I was like, oh shit, we're getting some Wakanda shit here. And at first I thought we would maybe see Lupita or maybe Danai.
Sorry.
But I'm very happy that we got Ayo. Because like Joe said, she's like the OG. She's like
Yeah.
the OG Dora we saw in Civil War. That
Yes.
scene where I think it was her who tells Black Widow move or you will be moved. dude, that's like
Yes, yes.
that's
I love that line.
that's sick as fuck, and I like that it's her. I do wonder though if she's there because she's pissed that Bucky broke Zemo out because I'm assuming because Bucky is, I guess, the unofficial White Wolf. He
Yeah, the
might be
agent
an
of
on
honor.
Yeah, he might be an envoy or an agent of Wakanda. I wonder if they're gonna be pissed that, oh shit, you fucking broke Zemo out. What the fuck? Then we're gonna get him. We're gonna kill him now. Or I maybe wonder if Bucky breaking Zemo out was. I wonder if that was Wakanda's like mission for him in the first place. I wonder how this is all gonna pan out as far as Bucky's role with um with the White Wolf mantle.
Hmm.
It opens up a lot of possibilities in the next episode.
I'm
And
curious though with her introduction because the whole point of Black Panther in Civil War was he wouldn't let him kill himself to end that cycle of vengeance. Which in a way, with the series, how they're introducing him, he has. But is she there to kill him and
Ooh.
go against the code of what her king has taught her? Or
yeah,
is she just trying to bring him back to prison? And that's an interesting conflict because it also shows, is she doing that officially or did she just run to get him? Like, this is a vengeance tale. So I would love to hear if she talks about her time maybe serving under T'Chaka.
Yes.
yeah. Or maybe bring him to a Wakandan prison this time around instead of a usual prison.
I'm still hoping Zemo lands in Thunderbolts. That's all I'm gonna say. I just want freaking Thunderbolt Ross to show up out of nowhere.
And yeah, that's long been rumored, and that's a running theory. One last question before we wrap this up. Wakanda is now there. Do you think that the episode 5 character that Malcolm Spellman has been teasing, has been hyping up? Hopefully, it's not going to be something. Do you think that's going to be part Wakandan or something,
Mm,
Charles?
Well, uh, I wouldn't be mad if it was a Wakandan. I think Spellman's term here was very grounded, so I guess that could work. But I don't know from because you already introduced a Wakandan. I feel like any Wakandan who shows up isn't gonna be as impactful
no.
unless it's
Yes.
fucking Ryan Coogler or fucking Shuri. So I'm not quite sure who to expect as far as Wakandans, but I mean, I wouldn't be mad if more Wakandans showed up, even though I'd be less surprised.
Who's your bet? My safe bet is Okoye.
I like Okoye, yeah, I like Okoye.
Yeah, I
Joe?
I I I don't think it's gonna be a major character, so I don't think people should expect especially given how the tragedy is like to
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman to show up and having filmed this before everything that happened last year. But I think it could be Okoye, maybe Nakia, if they go Black Panther route. I'd laugh if it's Thunderbolt Ross. That's the big one. So it could be anyone. I'm curious, especially it's always such a big question if it leads into the final episode. Is it an introduction that is more opening up what happens in the finale, or are they setting something else up? That's where where my big question mark comes from. Because if it was like a episode 6 finale, I think that's where we would see Okoye or making a return because they bring Zemo in or something. Episode 5 makes it a little tricky, so it has to connect to the finale in some way, in my opinion.
It's always that in TV series that the penultimate episode is also the big one. The one is
Mm.
filled with cameos and stuff, and then the finale will be okay. Let's hope not. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's by far the most popular show based on Disney Plus numbers. So, yay! There's that. Let's go to the ratings, guys. Third episode, 1 to 10. What's your rating? I'll go first. My rating for the third episode for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is 9/10 because it has, aside from it has a Filipino song, it has action tag elements. It progresses the story so well. The returns of Sharon and Zemo are welcome. Like it's very impressive, and the mystery is on par with the previous Captain America films because you'll never know what to expect because
Mm.
you know that there's a twist, but you don't know what will that be and next. And I can't wait to find out how will that pan out in the next few weeks. Charles, 1 to 10, third episode.
An 8 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 8.
Okay, just 8. Got it. Joe, how about you?
I think for me it's a 8.5 to 9. I think Zemo just put like in general just how great Brule is puts it on a 9 for me. But I do have some things where I think they could have elaborated more, spent a bit more time on offering insight into it. So that's why I'm a little bit between that 8.5 or 9.
Yay. So 8.59 and 8. Average that, it's gonna be 8 or something. 8 point something. How about you, listeners? What's your rating for the 3rd episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? You can tweet us at twitter.com/MCUExchange. You can also tweet our personal Twitter accounts at twitter.com/AaronChino. That's me, AaronChino. You can also tweet Joe on Twitter.
I'm at that Abel, ThatAberl.
All right. You can also tweet Charles on Twitter.
You can follow me on Twitter at CFS Villanueva.
Yes. And shout out to our listeners over at Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Breaker, YouTube. Hello, guys. Welcome to the MCUExchange podcast. And hope to hear you next week as we break down all the major elements of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and major MCU news. Till next time.
Till next time.
Bye.